man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I'm telling you what, guys, it is a wild day. Oh boy, are we on? Is this thing on? I'm telling you, I don't even know what's going on anymore. What a day. What a morning it's been. Oh boy, let me finish this text message right here to Elijah, who's trying to call. It has been chaos. I love it. Hoo-yah. I'm going to tell you guys in a little while what happened with Before the Noise this morning. Wild stuff. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged. I know you guys, some of you thought that I'd fallen off the planet here. We're in a battle, folks. Not that, I mean, I never think of myself as being that important. But apparently we're doing some good out there. Because the evil spirits, man, they don't want whatever message we got getting out there. I hope you guys are doing good. Oh, man, hit that thumbs up down there. Let me see you guys in the chat. We had 8,000 people on Rumble alone waiting for Before the Noise this morning, and it was a Before the Noise. There was no noise because it never happened. Where are my dancing bananas? We don't have a government right now, so we're not going to talk about politics today, I don't think. What's there to talk about? They shut down. We're going to talk about life. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to get Party Foul Steve on here. I think Steve was more emotionally wrecked than I was this morning trying to deal with the technical difficulties that we had. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. I can't wait to tell you the story, though. Insane. Here's the thing. I was reading some of you guys. I was reading some comments from people, and they were so encouraging. They were so good. I know you guys thought that I just got raptured out of here or something like that. I didn't. I'm still here. But there were some people who sent me some messages, man, and I kind of said, you know what? I think there's a lot of people that are kind of at their wits' end right now. They don't know what to believe. They're kind of hitting the wall, and everything's feeling a little heavy for them. Maybe life's happening a little too much life, a little too fast. Life's kind of throwing you 5 bowling balls, and you're trying to juggle with 2 hands. I know the feeling. Trust me, this has been an interesting year, to say the least. I mean, I don't know that I'm overwhelmed. Some people, maybe you get overwhelmed. I don't know that I get overwhelmed. But sometimes those overwhelming circumstances of life just kind of sneak in real quietly. And then all of a sudden, it's like the alarm goes off. You ever get in your car and the radio's too loud from the last time you were in there and it's screaming at you? And some of you feel like that's going on in your head. And you think, man, I'm just kind of getting left behind. I'm overwhelmed. You're like, I just feel like I'm failing. Let me tell you what you do when stuff like that happens. Because your first instinct is to run faster and push harder and do more because you go in panic mode. But let me tell you something. More hustle on a cracked foundation doesn't fix the cracks. It makes the collapse bigger. I want everybody, if you're feeling that way, when that happens, pause. Take a breath. I know it sounds too simple, but it's not. Breathing will reset the nervous system. I mean, I'm just telling you from a physical standpoint. You inhale deep and you inhale slow, you let it out longer than you took it in, you're telling your brain we're safe and we can slow down. You do that a few times, you start to calm the storm that's in your head. And then I'll tell you, if you guys have been watching Before the Noise, one of the things that I love to tell people to do is say things out loud. You got to start saying out loud the things that overwhelm you. And I don't mean like in vague terms, like, well, everything's going wrong. No, don't do that. Pin it down. If it's a project deadline, if it's money, if it's a family need, if it's an illness, because I truly believe that when you name the weight, there's one of the reasons I like to post things on social media and kind of let people transparently come into what's going on in my life is because it's therapeutic to me. But I think when you name the weight, you shrink it from a mountain into just a stone that you can deal with, right? And you got to decide in your life what's first, what comes first, because the feeling of being overwhelmed, it's usually not too much work. It's too much work being done all at once. So you get this to-do list. That isn't the problem. It's trying to stare at the whole thing at the same time. You got to choose the one thing that you can do next, not the 10 things. One, you got to write that email, pay that bill, make that call, fold that laundry, that one stone at a time. That's why Jordan Peterson says first thing in the day, you need to make your bed. That's a key right there. Do that little thing in the morning that you start your day with a sense of accomplishment. And then another thing you got to do, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, is you got to cut some of the noise. That's hard for me because being overwhelmed, that thrives on distraction. See, if Satan can distract you, that's why my phone stays silent. People say, well, I tried to call you. I don't hear my phone. I've never turned the volume on my phone. In 15 years, I have not turned, I don't even know what this thing sounds like. I hear other people on their phone, you people drive me crazy that send a text message that you can hear the click. Stop that. That's not necessary. You're not on a typewriter. I can't stand it. But you hear that phone ping. I get in a room with somebody and their phone's just da-ling, da-ling, da-ling. I'm like, what is going on with your life? I get that many messages, but you'll never hear them because it reminds you that you got an endless set of people demanding your time. You got to remind yourself, this phone right here, that's for your convenience, not somebody else's. This is not your leash. But if you got the endless tabs open and people pulling your attention in 50 different directions, and I'm the world's worst, so I'm preaching to myself, though. You got to shut that down. Close the laptop, turn off the TV. You can't heal your mind in chaos, and you need to remember you're not alone. Because when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's going to tell you the lie that it's all on you, that you got to figure it out by yourself. Don't. One of the biggest things that I have to struggle with is delegating things to other people. I thank God for Party Foul Steve. I thank God for David Medina. I thank God for Lily Kate. I thank God for the people that I can call on. Cindy Walker. I thank God for these people, man, because it's like, oh my goodness. And I'm probably leaving some people out, but you got to ask for help. You got to call that friend. You got to pray. You got to open that Bible, lay it at God's feet. Even Jesus carrying the cross had Simon of Cyrene help shoulder the weight, which, by the way, I'm working on a short book about Simon of Cyrene. You're going to like it. Most of you don't even know who that is. If the Son of God allowed somebody to carry part of his load, Simon carried the cross for Jesus on his way to crucifixion. But if Jesus needs help in a situation like that, you do too. Are you guys feeling me in this chat here? I mean, are you? Let me check over here and see if you guys are still with me on this whole overwhelm message I'm giving you. I want you guys to kind of just look at life and zoom out. Because when you're in the weeds and everything's feeling permanent, the truth is most of what overwhelms you today, it won't matter in 5 years. Most of you don't even know the name of your great or great-great-grandmother. That's just 4 generations ago. You don't even know their name. They're already forgotten, and you're the grandchild. A lot of things you're dealing with right now won't even be a reality in 5 weeks. When you get that perspective, man, it changes things, because when you're overwhelmed and you want to make that thing lose its power, learn to see it in scale. Don't zoom in on it. Man, I'm trying to speak some truth over us today. This ain't even Chad's church or Before the Noise. Being overwhelmed is fueled by lies, folks. It's lies that say you're not capable, lies that say you're not enough, lies that say that failure is inevitable. Why even start this? Why even risk it? Because I'm probably going to fail, right? You got to replace that crap in your head with truth. You got to say, I can do the hard things. I'm not alone. This is temporary. God is faithful. I've survived every bad day I thought would break me, because you have. You've literally survived every bad thing so far. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, don't try to climb Mount Everest in the sprint. Stop, breathe, name the weight, pick up that next stone, and cut that noise out. Ask for help, zoom out, and speak the truth. Boy, I can't believe I summarized that well. Being overwhelmed, folks, is not the end of you. It's just a signal. It's your body and your soul saying, hey, we're a little overloaded, so we need to hit reset. And the good news is we can reset right now, today, one step at a time, because I think every one of you are stronger than you think. You're more equipped than you realize. And you are never walking through this deal alone. Let's talk about our friends over at Allied Oil, AlliedOilfield.com. They've been doing the business for 20 years. They got the equipment out there that helps the oil and gas company function. So if you're in the oil and gas industry, or if you're in the trucking industry, check out their equipment over there. They can build the equipment you need, but they got some incredible stuff. They're innovators in the field, and also if you got that big equipment, you can get it refurbished by them as well. Call them on the phone, 855-EQUIP-US, AlliedOilfield.com. You know what everybody should do? Everybody should just call 855-EQUIP-US and just be like, hey, we heard about you guys on the Chad Prather Show, and we just think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Thank you for equipping those out there in the oil field to drill, baby, drill. All right, let's bring him on. Party Foul Steve, what's up, buddy?
Good morning. Yeah, everything decided to quit on us today.
I woke up to you panicked.
It's you talk about overwhelm. I'm normally not overwhelmed about anything, but I do have one slight problem, and I like to call it an emotional contagion. And I think what happens is, however, the people around me, whether they're overwhelmed or they're stressed, it's unloaded on me, and I bear that and I carry that, and I can't help it.
Yeah, you do carry everybody else's load. That's one thing about you. I don't know what you call that. I mean, people
It's a
say,
contagion. However, somebody's feelings and how they are, it's a contagion, and it just jumps off on me, and I can't.
yeah,
If I'm around people that are like positive and in great moods and that kind of thing, I mirror that. If I get around somebody, that's why I refuse people that just spew negativity out of their mouth all the time, poor pitiful me and all this kind of stuff. I stay away from them. I'm like, nope,
you do carry it.
you got a negative outlook on life. I don't need that because that'll jump off on me.
Yeah, and I guess that's called an empath or whatever. Because I feel for people, but you like carry what they're feeling,
Yeah.
which is wild to watch. Because I've seen you do that, yeah, it's crazy. But it was so funny because I mean my phone was. So here's what happened this morning. Let me just tell everybody now that I got everybody on here. Let me just tell you what happened this morning. Well, no, let me go back to yesterday. Let me tell you about a little bit about my day. You guys are all going to be interested in this because it's going to affect you. Let me just tell you what's happening. So some of you, if you're paying attention, know that I'm on the advisory board of an organization called Make Music Right. Chloe Castillo, she's 20 years old. She's an incredible young lady. And we just had a launch gala at the Trump up in Westchester at his golf course in New York a couple of months ago. And, Laura Trump spoke at that. I spoke at that. It was just a fantastic event. But anyway, we've got this idea. This is Chloe's idea. And Chris Macchio, who, if you've ever seen Trump, like at the inauguration or whatever, the opera guy, he's America's tenor. He sings the national anthem, right? So, I mean, the dude's phenomenal opera singer, but he's the guy that Trump always calls on to do the national anthem. So Chris Macchio is a part of this as well. So we got this idea to do something instead of the Bad Bunny crap, for the Super Bowl halftime, is let's have basically a Super Bowl party and then live stream entertainment during the Super Bowl halftime. But not like me. I mean like big stars. Let's get some people with some actual talent, right? Like Brandon Lake or John Rich and all these people, because we're connected in so many ways. Maybe Jason Aldean, because we're connected to all these people, right? And so I was on the phone with them yesterday. We had a little conference call about it. And so Chloe and her mom, Debbie, who are just phenomenal people, they've become close friends like family, and Chris Macchio, we're talking about it. And I said, you know what? Let me text John Rich and see if we can get him on board, because I was like, it would be perfect if we could have it at John Rich's house. Because you've been at John's house and you've been upstairs. So John has a 3-story house. It's 92 feet tall, which that doesn't math, right? Because the top of his house, he's got an elevator in it. The top of his house is a bar. It's a saloon. It's a music
full stage.
venue.
It's
a full stage.
Everything.
I mean, it's insane. And I mean, you could film a TV show there, right? I mean, a concert there. He could put about 200 people in that place. And he calls it Mount Richmore. Of course he does. I mean, he's got a guitar-shaped swimming pool. And so anyway, I texted TJ McDaniel, who is the head of Redneck Riviera. He's John's business manager. And I said, hey, before I run this up the chain to the boss, tell me if you think that if he thinks this will be a good idea. Now, again, I'm telling you this story because this all ties into this morning, right? So TJ said, dude, that's an awesome idea. And you've been around TJ. He's a fantastic human and just an encourager. And he goes, dude, yeah. And so I get him and John on the deal. And John's like, I'm in. Let's go 100%. Let's rock and roll. And I said, we want to do this through Make Music Right. And I said, there's some people who are asking for it. I said, let's talk to these guys, And so John sent he sent a text to Brandon Lake. And again, I know Brandon Lake. He's a worship guy, right? He's just a believer. He's on top of the mountain the dude is incredible, and I think he's just an incredible human being. And he doesn't want to get all political. I understand. He probably doesn't. I've heard what he's got to say. Even though he did the memorial and did the music for the memorial of Charlie Kirk, I don't know that he wants to get involved with this, but we're not trying to politicize it. We're just trying to bring some people together that have our values and entertain folks. And so, TPUSA is floating the idea of doing something, and I think with like Creed, and I was like, listen, let's just do this thing. And so we're going to do something. And even John was like, dude, if we could do it at my house, that'd be fantastic. And I was like, yeah, I love it when John comes up with an idea that was my idea, but it made it feel like it was his idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I do that to you. I do that to you all the time.
You do. I know. I know. And so anyway,
plant those seeds, baby.
I know. If you're not following Chloe Castillo and Make Music Right, you need to be following them because this girl, she's a world changer. And she just turned 20. I've known her since she was 17. How many kids do you know that can get Chris Macchio or Laura Trump or these kind of people involved in their organization? And this girl is a world changer, and her passion is music. She's a piano prodigy, classical pianist, and just a phenomenal person. And just an incredible young lady. And so this Make Music Right thing. So anyway, I was like, let's do this thing. Let's make it big. And so anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm sitting there yesterday. I'm doing all of this in a parking lot at the CVS, dude, because I needed to go in there and pick something up. And I'm sitting there for like hours at this CVS. Trucks running. And I get a call from Elijah Mayo, who does sales for the show. And Elijah's been a partner of the show for a long, long time. And he goes, Rumble wants to give you. So I'm already riding the high of John being on board and all this stuff. And so he goes, Rumble has decided to give you the 8 a.m., 7 Central live featured slot for Before the Noise. Now, we've been working our butt off and praying about this show having an opportunity to be in the live featured. So, Graham has it at 9. I think Vince does it at 10, and then I don't know what their order is. It goes to like Russell Brand, and I think Charlie had a deal, and Steven Crowder. But they get those live feature deals, which is immediate eyeballs. And I was so excited because I'm so passionate about the Before the Noise thing. It is literally the light of my day. I am so fired up about Before the Noise because we're preaching the gospel. We're just walking through the Bible and just talking practical application of what the Bible's saying. And so I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, like, you know what I told you last night? I'm sitting there and tears are coming down my face. I'm like celebrating in this truck in the parking lot at CVS. And I'm like, Jesus, you are so good, man. God is so good. And I'll just tell you, you might get mad at me for saying this. But I was sitting there going, I want to say praise Jesus and holy at the same time. Because I was like, I don't know if the Lord will accept that as a pleasing sacrifice of praise. But like, I wanted to go, oh my gosh, the answered prayer. That is the reality of my walk with God, though. I'm just going, that's just me being transparent. I was so excited. And so anyway, I'm like, we got to take a 12, 13, 15-minute show and turn it into an hour, right? That's a whole lot of talking about Jesus, but I was so thankful for it. This morning, I'm up like 5:30. Like, the show's going to go live at 7 here Central, and I'm going, okay. And I'm going, I'm up at 5:30. I am ready to rock and roll with this deal. Bro, it's like an EMP went off. Before it was time to go live, it is like an electromagnetic pulse went off. No cell signal. No lights. The lights literally started strobing. The computer crashed. I run an Ethernet cable all the way down the hallway in here. There was no Wi-Fi. It was insane. Then I find out on David's end, who's our producer, David Medina, he's getting error messages on the loading of Rumble. It's like this. I'm like, Here's our opportunity. We've been begging, fighting, praying to get this opportunity. And I'm like, they're going to think we've lost our mind. We've done, 43, 44 straight episodes, Monday through Friday, of Before the Noise without a glitch. I mean, sometimes the sound might glitch or something like that. But I mean, we're there. And I'm like, what is going on? And I just start praying, man. I'm like, Prince of the power of air is at work. You know, I've always said that demons live in technology. I mean, I just truly believe the gremlins get in there, the demons. But this was like something out of the movie Poltergeist, bro.
Yeah, it was about that time this morning. You know, I live next to a fire station here in Montgomery County, and every single one of the trucks, all the ambulances, they all left out of there at the same time. All this was happening. I don't know if something happened out your way, and they called in extra because you have, fire stations out towards your house too. But why they would be coming from here unless it was something major, big that happened, and I still haven't seen anything in the, in the neighborhood page, Facebook page, but something was going on.
So when I finally, you're the first person I talked to. My phone, when it came back, it came back at it was like 7:46. I remember looking at the thing. It was like 7:46 Central, and my messages blow up, and you call me because I'm like, oh, what's going? I'm like, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm praying, and I'm just like in shock of this whole thing, and I'm like, it reminds you, God is real. There is a spiritual battle, and we are over the target. I mean, we're doing something good. And it ain't going to be stopped. So I immediately jump on with Elijah Mayo after I answered your call. And I'm like, please tell Rumble that we're not stupid. I said, I don't know if they, I said, Elijah, you understand this language? I don't know if they do. I said, but this is spiritual warfare, dude. And I'm telling you, this is just absolutely insane what happened this morning. And I mean, these lights, I don't even know if I can replicate with my phone with the controls of these lights what they were doing. And I'm going, and there was 8,000 people on Rumble waiting to watch.
Yep.
I mean, bro, and you see numbers. I mean, and so I'm sitting there going, explain to him. And Claudio over at Rumble, he goes, hey, it's there's always tomorrow.
Yeah. And that is true. There's always tomorrow. But you know what the thing about it is, and I can't remember exactly what the title of today's Before the Noise was, but it had to do something about in the waiting room for Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's right. So
and
the whole thing,
I was like, how ironic that the name of that episode and that we're just kind of in limbo. We're kind of waiting. Sometimes we are waiting.
Yeah, the whole thing was about because we're moving into John chapter 11, right? And so we're talking about when Jesus found out that Lazarus was sick, and Mary and Martha are sending for Jesus because they want him to come heal their brother Lazarus. And Jesus, it says, waited like 4 more days.
Yeah, this is like, in today's terms, that's like somebody was blowing up Jesus's phone and he's just looking at it, left him on red.
That's exactly what it is. And so
he's like, I'm not in a hurry. It's
so the deal and the thumbnail is still on loop, right? It's still on the loop of our little pre-show deal, and it'll be there, I guess, till tomorrow. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this thing, and there was even after it was over, there was still 1,000 people in there. Even the religious zealots were in there trolling. But it was the title was When God Delays, Trusting Jesus in the Waiting Room of Life. I'll do it, Lord willing, tomorrow morning. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, just Rumble, give us another shot. I mean, day one. I mean, that's so back in the day, back when the Atlanta Braves really sucked. I've been an Atlanta Braves fan my entire life growing up in Georgia, and I was with them when they sucked. So I'll throw a name out there. If you true Braves fans will remember in the 80s, a guy by the name of Pascual Perez. Pascual Perez was the huge ace that they brought on, paid him a buttload of money, and the old Fulton County Stadium, it was hard to get to because it was just a confusing loop of interstates and freeways right there in Atlanta. But the old Fulton County Stadium, which is the stadium like Hank Aaron hit 714 in, and back in those days, Like it was a football stadium for the Falcons, but they played baseball in it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a good football stadium. But anyway, Pascual Perez was supposed to start that night, and he didn't show up. He didn't show up. He was driving in his van, and he said he could see the stadium, but he couldn't find the road to get to it. And I was sitting there thinking, that was this morning's Before the Noise. Like, please don't cut our contract. I promise you, we really want to do this job. So anyway, Elijah, he's like, dude, it's all good. Like, as we were going live right here, Elijah called during the countdown, and because I texted him, I said, are we still good? I mean, like hours later, are we still okay with Rumble? And he's like, dude, it's all good. And I'm like, I'm so excited to be doing that, to have that opportunity. So shout out to Rumble for giving us some grace, man.
And if you were not in the chat this morning on Before the Noise, there was a religious zealot in there. And Chad, you laid out the scripture straight to him, and you gave it to him.
Well,
And,
let's see. What was he talking about? He was saying, because the stars on the sign up there. He
because
was saying
everything. Oh, there you have an O and then show. That's a circle. That's demonic. Everything. You could just everything he was picking out about your logos, your emblems, your candles in the background. Everything was demonic. So
he was talking about the logo on Before the Noise, the way we designed that, it's a semicircle with a lightning bolt. The whole deal was supposed to be a double meaning. It was sort of the original symbol was like the shape of an ear, and the lightning bolt is the inside of the ear. So I want you to hear, but also what you're hearing is, as God was described in the Old Testament when he spoke, it was like lightning. And so that was that whole deal he was fired up about the lightning bolt. He was saying it was all a pentagram. Even in the CP logo on our shorts, there's a star in there. Well, I mean, I am in Texas. We do use stars around here. But I was basically using the scripture to say, I had a free minute, so I just started unloading the scripture. And he goes, oh yeah, sure. You're just going to quote the Bible. I was like, yeah, that's kind of sort of the point. And he goes, you're worshiping Satan. And I was like, no, I'm literally.
Well, you pointed out that God created everything. Everything belongs to Him.
Yeah.
Satan took it from Him, takes things from Him to use it, but it's still God's. God's in control.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what I was saying is basically all these things out there that Satan tries to steal and counterfeit. I mean, Satan's never created a single thing. And, he only counterfeits what God's already made. So you take the rainbow, for instance. That doesn't belong to the LGBTQ whatever. Every symbol in Scripture belongs to God, not the devil who's going to use it and twist it. And if you're calling God's signs satanic, that's like giving a thief credit for, as I told this guy, you build a house and the thief breaks into it and saying, well, this is the thief's house. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. I mean, when you talk about giving credit to Satan with biblical symbols, that's worshiping a knockoff rather than the creator himself. You're actually blaspheming by giving Satan credit and saying that these things that are God's symbols, you're proving that you are more interested in fear than faith. And so I was pretty fired up. I went off on his ass.
You did. All he really wanted was to get you to go look at his channel.
And at the end of the day, he goes, I've got a channel and we're not blaspheming. And I was like, And I told Steve, I said, get ready, because a couple of things. You can set your watch. I mean, you can literally set your watch by these things. For those of you who don't know, I pastored for 12 years. Went through some burnout, went through some life changes, some things like that. And by God's grace, he gave me another type of ministry that, is not a vocational ministry, but he gave me a platform to be able to talk. And I'm thankful for that. And I'll just tell you, the things I've seen over the years, at 52 years of age, there's some things you can basically just count on. One is when you start talking about spiritual warfare, particularly demons and Satan, the demons and Satan are going to pop up. They're going to pop up. I mean, they're going to show up. Yeah. And the other thing is, when you start talking about Jesus, the religious spirits that are out there, they're going to get offended. Those people are going to get, because it stirs up. Because a religious spirit is one of the most dangerous. I was talking to my friend Victoria Robinson the other day. A religious spirit is one of the most diabolical things, because it deceives people into thinking that they're in the truth, when in actuality, they're more deceived than anything.
Yeah.
So... They're going to pop up. So I will just say that, and the reason I do is when we have thousands of people watching before the noise, and we will, one way or another, with or without Rumble, because I believe God's hand is on this thing. And I believe his hand's on this show as well. And I believe his hand's on this audience. But when it happens, you're going to see a lot of trolls that are going to pop in there. And folks, David pre-produces the show, but I'm actually pushing the buttons in the mornings for the show. You're going to see a lot. Don't let those people disturb you. I wish I could sit there and you asked the question right there, religious spirit like legalism. Legalism can be a part of it. You know, when you get into those kind of things where you start focusing more on the symbols or on the images or the do's and the don'ts and the, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I sent David a really good book 2 weeks ago that he still, I don't think, has read. And it's called, by one of my mentors, Dudley Hall, it's called Grace Works. Grace Works. It's a classic book. And, dude, when you start getting away from grace, you're starting to get into a religious spirit in a big way. And you start getting on that religious treadmill and the legalism and all that. Anyway, let's talk about our friends. I'll say more about a religious spirit if y'all want me to. But let's talk about our friends over at Birch Gold. Birch Gold, text Chad to 989898 and make sure that's probably demonic too. We're probably worshiping Satan by talking about gold. I can't with these people, man. Text CHAD, spell it Chad to 989898 and let our friends over at Birch Gold help you form a tax-sheltered IRA, a retirement plan that is actually backed by pure physical gold. Gold has gone up, man. It's insane. I wish some of you had gotten in on this a year ago. If you're laying awake at night trying to figure out what the stock market's going to do, stop. Let that precious commodity of physical gold back your retirement plan. And Birch Gold's got an A+ rating with a Better Business Bureau. They can help you out. They got tens of thousands of satisfied customers. And when you text Chad to 989898, they will text you back with a link. They might even give you a phone call to get your address so they can send you some information. But they will send you that link, and they will help you out. So roll that 401k over, that IRA that's not doing anything, or even a savings account. Text Chad to 989898, even if you're just kicking the tires to see what's up. Check them out. Oh, boy, howdy. Steve, I'm thirsty.
Drink.
I would, but it'd be dead air for 30 seconds.
I'm drinking my Make Wellness right here.
I'd want you to
look at the ugly color of this Make Wellness drink.
It looks delicious.
I mixed like 3 of them. Don't mix 3 of them.
Yeah.
2 was okay, but the third one, it changed the flavor really bad. Hey, y'all do blow up the chat. Look at that. I love that logo there. We need a little cowboy hat in our thing. Can Rumble put you a little cowboy hat? What logo are you talking about? Just get us a little cowboy hat to blow up the Rumble. There's not one, so we just have to use dancing bananas. I like the dancing bananas. You had plenty of time to go get a drink and come back, and you didn't get it.
Linda is the one. Linda is the one who started with the dance of bananas. Look at you. You're going to sit there and you're going to pull that out there. I said I'm thirsty because my mouth is dry. And you're going to pull that out. You're like on Three Amigos when Chevy Chase has the canteen and they're all dying in the desert. And he just throws that thing out and it's just going out there in the, it's just draining into the dry ground.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But no, dude, I'm excited. I'm more excited than I've ever been, Steve. I mean, I was fired up. You and I went, and your wife, your beautiful wife, bless her heart, she's working so hard. We went and had some sushi. We had some raw meat last night.
Yeah.
And it was good. And it was good, dude. We were celebrating. And then, and then the devil, Benjamin Franklin is the devil. Benjamin Franklin didn't invent electricity. Your mama invented electricity. Benjamin Franklin is the devil.
I'm worried that somebody hit a light pole out towards your house or something.
Dude, I looked around. Everybody else had power.
Oh.
I was peeking in their windows. People talking about a religious spirit. I do want to talk about that because that's not. It is about legalism. It's pride. It's performance. It's control. When those people come along and they want to have this counterfeit spirituality that they think looks holy on the outside. Like one time, my spiritual father, my pastor, my mentor, Wade Trimmer, you guys know Wade. Wade and I, we were in Alabama, and we were having dinner late one night, and we were traveling, and there was this guy in the booth behind Wade, and this guy was just harassing this waitress about Jesus. Like, you're going to go to hell. And I mean, like, just, and like, she was like, okay, that's enough. And he was like, no, like, he wasn't taking no for an answer. Like, he was just, and so Wade turned around to the guy and he said, hey, buddy, he said, she's not offended by Jesus. You're being offensive with Jesus.
Yeah.
And you have these people with that counterfeit spirituality that again, they think they're so spiritually superior, but it's void of any life-giving presence or hope-giving message of Jesus. And so instead of pointing people to Jesus, it burdens people with rules and regulations and self-righteousness. Because sometimes I'll post something on social media that's meant to be edifying and hope-giving. And, I got a lot of people out there. Somebody say, well, you're just using it to get followers. Let me tell you something. 10 years ago, I was selling out 4,000 seats arenas and writing scripts for Hollywood. And everything I put out there was getting millions and millions of views. And everywhere I went was just, crazy successful. And you're going to tell me that I've decided to use my platforms to tell people about Jesus, and that is what I decided to use to get followers, and I'm doing it for free? Anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I was just thinking you started talking about that, the people that are so forceful and
Yeah.
use that, that force, using Jesus as their force, and they're not being, I don't even know what the word is, but it's almost like there's something happened to them, early on in maybe their spiritual journey, or maybe
Yeah,
they were
there's a
maybe they were
trauma.
shoved into a spiritual journey or something because of a negative thing,
Or
and
abused by somebody in the
abused,
church,
or
or a
or a
parent,
guilt.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of times, a lot of times that's true. You know what
as
Paul said? The Apostle Paul says in Galatians 3:3. He says, "Are you so foolish, having begun in the Spirit? Are you now being perfected by the flesh?" So that right there kind of describes that. Is Jesus starts a work in you, and then something happens, and rather than letting grace and the Spirit of God develop you and grow fruit, that's why Jesus says in John, we talked about this a week or so ago, about abiding in the vine. If you abide in the vine, you don't have to struggle to bear fruit. You just abide in the vine, you bear fruit. But a lot of people want to grab people and drag them into the threshold of heaven, kicking and screaming against their will. And so that's why Paul says you're not being perfected by the flesh. So, these people, they get a religious spirit that tries to replace grace with human effort. And so, you start elevating the man-made rules above, grace. You look down on others who don't measure up. I put stuff all the time in there, and I got people in the comments that want to come and have a theological debate with me. I can debate theology with you. I mean, I can do it. I had somebody talking about the rapture and the end of the world the other day, and I said, the idea of the rapture only popped up when the Schofield Bible happened after a teenage girl claimed to have a vision and a dream in 1830. No one in 1,800 years of church history ever thought anything about a rapture. They felt like Matthew 24 was directing them to the abomination of desolation, which was the sacking of Jerusalem by the Roman Empire in 70 A.D. And these people, they want to argue and fight with you. I'm like, listen, we can argue and fight about that, but at the end of the day, it's a mystery and none of us knows. If it ain't pointing people to Jesus, why are we having this argument? So there's people that want to look down on others and think they've got some kind of special insight. That's a religious spirit. If you're using religion to dominate rather than serve, that's control and manipulation. That's a Jezebel spirit. Bob Dare, bossy wives and women preachers, man. I'm getting all kind of trouble today.
It's okay. That's we need to hear that, because we need to be reminded that there are those spirits out there.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is. I mean, but it's a performance-based type of faith. You got to earn God's love instead of receiving it freely. And then the hypocrisy of that outward show of holiness, but inwardly there's an emptiness. I have these people all the time. I've made the post about how it was crazy this morning, spiritual warfare, and somebody that loves to troll my page. She said something about this is hilarious, and I was like, well, you hope it's hilarious. You hope the idea of spiritual warfare is hilarious. You hope the reality of God and his justice is hilarious. You hope that it's wrong. But inwardly, there is an emptiness in you. And, that's why Jesus said, you're a whitewashed tomb. He says to the Pharisees and to the Sadducees, he said, you're so bound by tradition and control that you don't even recognize what's standing right here in front of you. And, in the book of Galatians, it drives me crazy where these people these days, they got to use like a special vocabulary, a special language or something to feel closer to God or something like that. And in the book of Galatians, Paul was talking to the Jews in the church who were insisting that the Gentile believers who didn't have Jewish traditions, that they had to follow Jewish law and do Jewish things in order to be saved, which was undermining grace, right? And so I see people all the time that use all these code words in Hebrew, and I'm like, you don't need all that. I mean, listen, if that's what makes you feel closer to God, wonderful in your time of worship. But you don't need all that. You don't need all that. Grace, man. The Apostle Paul says, listen, he told the church in Corinthians, in Corinth, he said, you guys you're offended by eating meat that's been sacrificed to idols. Paul says, that doesn't offend me. I can eat anything because all things are profitable for me. All things are lawful for me. He says, but if it offends you, I won't do it in your presence, because if it offends you, then I don't want to be something that's a stumbling block to you. So those people who were saying, no, that meat, they bring a bull out there and they offer it up to the goddess Diana. And the Christians in Corinth were going, we don't want to eat that because it was used for an evil purpose to worship a false god. We're not going to eat that. Paul said, I'll eat it. Paul's like, it doesn't bother me.
We'll put some sauce on it.
Me. I mean, it's some pretty good barbecue right there. I'll eat it. And so you have people out there who are saying, oh, no, I'm not going to touch that. And that's where grace comes in. Because if you truly understand grace, Paul says, all things are profitable for me. All things are lawful for me. Great. You say, well, does that mean people just go out there and commit all kinds of evil? No, that's not what that means, because if you truly have received grace, it's going to make you want to be gracious. And that graciousness in Christ is going to make you want to please him instead of grieving him. It's going to make you want to be thankful and have gratitude rather than thumbing your nose at God. That's why Paul goes on to say in Galatians chapter 6, be not deceived, God is not mocked. The Greek phrase there means to thumb your nose at God, and basically said, there's no God, I'll do what I want to do. There's never going to be any consequences. He says, you will in due season reap what you've sown. What you've sown to righteousness, that's what you're going to reap. If you sow to the flesh, you're going to reap destruction. So basically that phrase there, in due season, if you don't lose heart, the word picture there in the Greek language was for a person out in the field hunting with a bow, and they don't see any game, and so they just take their bow and their arrows and they put it up and they quit. And so he's saying, if you don't lose heart, you'll reap. And so there's people out there, basically Paul's saying, you're out there hunting the wrong things. You're sowing to the flesh. You're trying to do this religious spirit. There's no grace in it. You got to sow to the righteousness and get righteousness back. Because you got people out there, people talk about, well, the Antichrist is coming. Well, Paul said, or the Apostle John said, there's a lot of Antichrists, and there's those that are among you right now.
I was going to say, I think the Antichrists are here. They're all around us.
The spirit of Antichrist has been around. I mean, Nero, Hitler, Mussolini, Obama. But anything that denies Jesus as the Christ or substitutes human relationship for his lordship is opposed to him. That is literally antichrist. So talking about a religious spirit, those are the things that are contrary to grace, because grace is going to say what Jesus said on the cross, tetelestai in the Aramaic, it is finished. But the religious spirit's going to say, do more. You got to do more. You got to do more. You got to do more. Jesus says, it's finished. There's not one single thing you can do. The writer of Hebrews, who I believe was the Apostle Paul, but the writer of Hebrews, because nobody knows actually who wrote Hebrews, but the writer of Hebrews says, if you trample underfoot the blood of the covenant, there is for you no longer any sacrifice that remains. So in essence, if you don't take this sacrifice, which was Jesus on the cross, you can't do another one. You can sacrifice all the goats, sheep, lambs, chickens, bulls, pigs, whatever. You cut everything's throat, burn it on the altar. There is nothing else. You can't do anything else, because that's what Jesus did. Jesus came to give you rest. Somebody asked me the other day, and I think it was in this chat. Somebody said to me, what is my definition of the Sabbath? It's Jesus. Jesus is the fulfillment of all the Old Testament laws and traditions. Jesus is the Sabbath rest. It's not a day of the week anymore. And again, if you want to have a day of rest, I think that's healthy in a lot of ways. I think you should do that, especially, like I said at the beginning, when you're feeling overwhelmed. But Christ gives you rest. He is the rest. But a religious spirit is going to add endless burdens to you, and you're never going to feel like you're going to add up to any of that stuff. And then when you do sin, I have people all the time, like that guy this morning who said, "You're a blasphemer." And I was like, we all are. I don't know if you've caught on to it or not, but we all are. That's literally why Jesus died on the cross. But if you are going to come and condemn and bring shame, that's a religious spirit, because the Holy Spirit doesn't do that. The Holy Spirit grieves when we sin. That's why it says, grieve not the Holy Spirit. The word grief is a love word. You don't grieve a stranger. You grieve those who have an impact on your life, somebody that you feel for. So when the Holy Spirit is grieved, it's because he loves us, and that's why he convicts us in order to bring life, not to bring shame and guilt and condemnation. And then you look at the blood of the cross, that's forgiveness. But a religious spirit is going to insist that you pay for your own sin. I got people all the time who say, "Chad, I get messages from people from the past who say, oh, you think because of all the things you've done in your life, now you can just talk about Jesus and everything's okay?" Well, on the basis of grace, it is. On the basis of merit, it's not. Listen, Jesus paid for my sin. That's past, present, and future, which means I don't have to pay for it. I just have to obey and repent and confess. Pretty easy. Pretty simple deal. So, if anybody wants to get saved here today in the chat,
let's just not judge. Let's not judge each other's past. How about all of us? It's because we all have a past of some type. Ours are.
And then of course we got the real Canada troll who loves to jump in here. There's your little dopamine hit that loves to hide behind the deal. The religion is a disease that makes people think they can treat opinions as facts and facts as opinions. Well, see, here's the deal. You don't get to use my worldview to defend your faith. And you do have a faith, real Canada. It's a faith that says that you've basically been everywhere, you've seen everything, and you can tell me that there is no God. You can't say that unequivocally. But you can't use those types of words that are in my worldview, words that are absolute. You can't use words like good because you don't have a standard for good. You can't tell me that, what was it you said? You said, you talked about, you see, but there he goes. He says horse shit because you can't defend your ideals. Blah, 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 lies, lies, lies. You don't know what a lie is because you don't have a standard for truth, son. You don't have a standard for truth, so you can't tell me that something is a lie. You can't tell me that something is good. You can't talk about pedos and what they do to children because that's what your whole deal, and God allows evil. So you can't use words like evil. You're not allowed to use the word evil because you don't have a standard for good. If you had a standard for good, you would believe in God. Because if you're the standard for good, that's a bad standard because that's a moving goalpost. That means you get to define what is good and what is bad. That makes you God. Well, you're not, and so you don't get to determine that. So you're a humanist and has faith in yourself, which is a bad thing to have faith in because as a humanist, you have both feet firmly planted in midair. You have no grounding, no foundation, or nothing else. So you can't use words like truth or lies or good or evil or bad or right or wrong or values. You can't talk about those things if you don't have God because you don't have a standard. So deep down in your heart, I will tell you that you believe in God. You know you believe in God. Whatever trauma happened to you. But I'm telling you that the grace of God is there for you, and there is forgiveness in the cross of Jesus Christ. And you can say that you have the same standard for truth as I do, which is humans. You can't base your standard for truth on humans because Hitler believed it was okay to kill Jews. Mussolini believed it was okay to kill his people. Stalin believed it was okay to weld people into submarines and then go sink them. Communism believed it was okay to kill 100 million people in the 20th century. Man's inhumanity to man is not the standard for evil. It's not the standard for righteousness. You can't do that. So you have this spirit of rebellion against all authority and any type of tradition, and you want to come at people like us who say, listen, we're trying to call evil evil and do something about it with an actual solution that changes lives, changes hearts, changes minds for good, and you're against that. So the problem, my friend, is not with me in this message. The problem lies within you. And I'm sorry that you're hurting, and I'm sorry that God hasn't parted the heavens and shouted your name, but I got a good sneaking suspicion that you know deep down in your soul the ways that God has done things for you. And the sheer fact that you have the fingers to type on that keyboard and the breath in your body to utter the blasphemy that you do tells me that you understand a little bit about grace, but you've exchanged the knowledge of God for the knowledge of things that are perishing. So, what you want to say about it? I mean, I love you. God bless you. Get mad? Are you kidding me? I just talked to you about grace and freedom in Christ. You think that's anger? That's cute. But again, you don't have an idea, and you don't have an ideal, and you don't have a standard, so you can't debate. You've already lost this thing. And again, to say that grace is a human concept, that's a pretty strong thing. That's a pretty strong statement, because for the most part, people aren't very forgiving. People aren't, let me ask you something. Whatever's been done to you, whatever abuse or trauma that you've had in your life there, whatever stuff you've experienced, and I guarantee you've had it because you're operating out of your hurt, were those people, were those humans, were they showing you grace? They weren't showing you grace, because people don't naturally show grace. Is it grace that when you can't forgive somebody, because you can't forgive, where is your human concept of grace? You're sitting here calling everybody out. Where's your human concept of grace? Obviously, it doesn't exist. That's why true grace is what the Bible says when it says, bless those that persecute you, bless and do not curse. Pray for your enemies. I mean, is that man-made? Because men don't actually respond that way. Is turning the other cheek, is that a man-made concept? Is going the extra mile with somebody when they compel you, is that man-made grace? When Jesus came speaking love and truth and direct confrontation, and they wanted to kill him for it, was that man-made grace? Because they did put him on the cross. Was that human grace? Because I don't see grace as being a human concept at all. Not at all. And again, whatever trauma you've had, I pray for you. I love you. And and I would love, the next thing, Real Canada, since you're using the word fascist, is the next thing I want you to do without Google is I want you to define fascist. So let's do that before we continue the debate. How about that? You define fascist, and let's do it. Let's do it. Then we'll have that debate. So again, you want to use words and call people evil, but you don't have a standard for evil. Without God, you don't have a standard for good. So if you don't have a standard for good because you don't have God, you can't have a standard for evil. If that's the truth, then somebody that goes out and wants to commit crimes against children, as you brought up, if you want to bring that up, I mean, you just said that it's all false narrative, but you say Charlie Kirk is roasting in hell. I mean, I don't know. What's your worldview, dude? You're all over the place.
Yeah. You could just drop the mic there. We're praying for you, Real Canada.
And again, you people think I'm talking to a troll in the chat. I'm not. I'm talking to all of you. Yeah. I'm talking to all of you, because these are the Bible says, be ready in season, out of season. Be ready. You need to give a defense for the faith that you proclaim. I mean, you got to be able to give a defense for that. And at the end of the day, you know what the biggest defense is? It's not him turning water into wine. It's him turning winos into true spirit-filled believers that love Jesus. Who can take a guy. You know how many back alleys I've woken up in my life after trying to find a reality in the bottom of a bottle or a bag of drugs? You want to know where I came from? Do you want to know somebody that has thrown it all away in the name of chasing fleshly ambition and sin? Somebody who's thrown platforms away, who has thrown away opportunities out there. Why? Because of my own stupid selfishness, the selfish, independent negation of God's will in my life, my selfishness, and then for God to bring me back and say, no, I'm not going to let you go, and I'm going to transform you. I'm going to change you, because it doesn't matter what the world knows about you or thinks about you. What I know about you is all that matters. And when God convicts that soul and brings that heart back to a place of truth and righteousness in pursuit of a brokenness, because they don't set themselves up on a pedestal as gods themselves, like a lot of people try to do, and said, I'm going to bow my knee willingly and obediently to the foot of the cross, and I'm going to worship Jesus, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to tell, and I'm going to disciple, and I'm going to do everything that I can within everything I can by God's grace to please him, to just please him. Because as John Piper said, God's most satisfied in us God is most pleased in us when we're most satisfied in him. Sin is just finding your satisfaction somewhere else besides God. Idolatry is asking something else permission before you say yes to God. And so at the end of the day, what changes those hearts? because I can have all the debates in the world, but I know what a change of heart looks like. Somebody messaged me this morning. I could tell you their name and you'd know exactly who it is. Somebody messaged me this morning and said, because of your messages and because of certain other things that have happened, I have brought God back into the center of my life. And I'm bringing God into my platform, my message, my life. And God changes lives, dude. That's the biggest defense you can give for your faith. And again, talk about the beginning of the show, being overwhelmed. Hey, listen, you're overwhelmed because you're on that treadmill, and you're not living by grace. It's good stuff, man.
Truly is a spiritual awakening and a revival coming across the
Yeah.
nation.
I mean, dude, get on board. Get on board. I mean, and I'll just tell you, it's so good, dude. I mean, I was, Victoria, I saw Victoria Robinson in the chat. I love her so much. She's an incredible voice, an incredible human being, and just an amazing, just incredible. And, I said on a Facebook this morning to her post she made, I said, listen, the power of what's coming is immeasurable. I just want to play a little part. I just want to play a little part of it, It's good, dude. And David didn't think we'd have anything to talk about.
And and that was, when we talked about last night about before the noise, you say we talked about, you got plenty to talk about. You have plenty of,
Always.
Always. It's like,
And I'd rather do this. I'd rather talk about the Lord. I'd rather talk about the truth. And I know people are like, well, that's just not really my thing. That's fine. That's fine. There's so many podcasts out there.
Yeah, there are. And the thing about it is, I'm getting some, my own spiritual awakenings, and so, putting me, on the right track. And
I'm telling you. You know what blessed my heart, Steve? And I didn't tell you this. I tried to a couple of weeks ago, and then I got interrupted, and I didn't do it. I went down. Remember, we were at the hotel somewhere on the road the other day, and I needed to get something out of the truck, and so I went down there to the truck, and you unlocked the thing from your hotel room. You had the key fob.
Yeah.
And I looked in there, and I was like, what is this leather book that's sitting here? And I looked, and you had your little devotional book down there with your scriptures in there, and I was like, "Party foul, Steve."
Yeah, that's
blessing my soul.
That's my own daily devotional read that I do, and I don't get a lot of fulfillment out of it.
Yeah.
So I do that still because it's by the day of the month,
Yeah.
literally, October 2nd,
Yeah.
and so I don't get a lot of fulfillment. I read it, but that's why I tune into Before the Noise, and when it doesn't come on, I get upset.
Yeah. And I will say that Jesus is on the throne regardless of who's in the Oval Office. Oh, and I don't know if we ever got a fascist definition in there. I would just say that a fascist is not just somebody that you disagree with politically. How about that? Okay. Just because you disagree with them doesn't make them a fascist. And by the way, American conservatism is rooted in preserving constitutional order, limited government, free enterprise, and traditional cultural values. That is the opposite of fascism. It's the opposite of a dictatorial state. When we emphasize individual liberties, states' rights, and free markets, those are things that fascists wholeheartedly reject. The term fascist, just because you want to use it as a political insult applied to anybody who holds a strong right-wing view, if that's what you want to call it. Things like patriotism and skepticism of globalism or a strong national defense, and you want to criticize that and label that fascism when you disagree with the policies on immigration law and order or cultural issues, you might sound good coming out of your mouth. It might roll off the tongue, but it's not an accurate definition because fascism is a rigid dictatorial authoritarian ideology. And American conservatives are not fascists, though some political opponents love to use that word. And again, if there's no God, you wouldn't care what we believe. Flaughter 91. Because of you, Graham, Todd, Kendra, Tony brought my wife and I to God. We always had faith in him, but never really gave ourselves to him until listening to you guys. So God bless and thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
God bless you.
And that's not.
We will read the super chats out loud when we've got David. If you do super chats on the Before the Noise, I don't even know how to pull those things up, so I don't know. But if you put any super chats in there, we will read them out loud. Yeah. Is there such thing as a Rumble rant? What is that? Super chat version for Rumble? Okay, I don't even know. A Rumble rant. So anyway, that felt good. Feel good. Just tell people about the Lord. All right, we're on the hour. Party Foul Steve. We got to go. We got to go eat some chicken.
Oh my gosh!
I
Yeah,
mean,
it
after
is.
you preach, you got to go find some fried
Hey,
chicken.
fried
bro.
chicken. It's fried chicken
Get
day.
that preacher bird, baby.
Oh,
And we got to. I was like, that dude was telling me we had all these evil Freemasonry symbols in the studio. I was like, what? I got to go look at my studio. He was saying
just
that's a
like-
pentagram. It's a star. All right, Steve, we got to get out of here. We were off the rails today. Hey, do me a favor, join me tomorrow morning for Before the Noise and pray that that Jesus is exalted and the truth is proclaimed, y'all. Before the Noise tomorrow morning, Friday. And I do want to say thank you to Rumble. We'll even put their mic flag back on the deal. Thank you to Rumble for giving us the opportunity to have that time slot. It's good. Look at there. We just put it back on Rumble. Leave us a 5-star rating where podcasts are offered. Go over to Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating for this show. 5 stars is what we deserve. Do it, Real Canada. You know you want to. Don't you know you want to? Stuck on you. Go over there and do it. Do it for Before the Noise as well. Leave a comment down below. Thank you for participating in the chat. You guys are fantastic, man. Get the book, Born for Meaning. There it is right there. Born for Meaning. Get it over on Amazon. Leave a review for that as well. That sucker hit the bestseller list, man. Pew, pew, pew. Look at that. Look at this. Look at David. He's basically giving stuff away. Our Make America Pray Again shirts. Is that fascism? Is that fascism? God's going to make us pray one way or another, folks. Make America Pray Again. You get them at pray13s.com. We're capitalizing in a free market economy, man. So fascist. Use promo code CHAD15 and get 15% off. Look at all that stuff, man. We're just selling everything today. Boy, it feels like we're at church. I got to quit. Jesus going to start flipping tables. All right, guys, thank you for joining us for this show. We'll see you on Monday because obviously the Chad Prather Show does not exist on a Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. God bless you. Hey, if you're in the Houston area, we're raising money. Wheelchairs for Warriors is an organization that I'm on the advisory board, and we're doing the comedy show. Linda, where is that thing at? It's down in Houston. Linda will know. We're going to be down in Houston. Kenny Webster, Jesse Payton, me. Don't hold me accountable for the things that come out of Jesse Payton's mouth, you guys. But we're raising money. We're for those of you who are still asking what happened to Before the Noise, yes, we'll be back tomorrow morning. And we had a couple of issues this morning, so you can go back and watch this show. We'll tell you. Linda, what's the name of that venue down there before I let you guys go? What that venue? It's got a weird name. And but anyway, we're gonna have a good time. My buddy, we'll see it anyway. Get on Jesse Payton's thing. Bad Astronaut Brewing Company. That's it. Thank you, Linda. Bad Astronaut Brewing Company down in Houston, Sunday night. And raising money for wheelchairs. You know, you think about wheelchairs. You don't just go out and get a wheelchair. These people spend their lives in a wheelchair. And these veterans and these first responders that need these wheelchairs, these things are $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, sometimes even more. This is a big deal. It's a huge expense. And so they do an incredible work. And so we're having a good time Sunday night raising money for that. All right, guys, I love you guys so much. I will talk to you tomorrow morning Before the Noise. And boom, we got Rumble love right there. Poo, I got to clean that up. I'm going to get something to drink. Until tomorrow morning, I love y'all. God bless you. See you Before the Noise. Talk to you then. You too, Real Canada. That's a kiss to you. Kisses. Mwah, mwah. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.